I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
This talk today is titled Surrender to Grace. And it's a Buddhist perspective on gratitude. And I thought I'd start off by reading a poem that myself and Archibald Inspirado wrote. Let's see. Once upon a time, a wise king ruled over a grand court. Yes, indeed, of the Shakespearean sort. The king did call a bright scholar to his domain, who sought wisdom in great measure, but was a bit too vain. "Dear sir," said the king, "shall I pour thee some tea, and perhaps a lesson or two, if patient thou be?" The king did pour, and pour, and pour some more, till the tea did spill right onto the floor. "Whoa, your highness, the cup runneth o'er," quoth the scholar, his shoes soaked galore. The king smiled with a twinkle in his eye. "Ah, full thou art, dear scholar, though not of tea, I. For like this very cup, thou art brimmed to full, with notions and clamor all very dull. Empty thyself, let go, clear out the space. Only then may wisdom find its rightful place. For a mind too filled with thoughts of fire cannot absorb what the heart doth desire." The scholar then bowed, head low and meek. "Thy lesson, dear king, is the knowledge I seek." With a smile, the king set down the kettle and left the poor scholar pondering, bewildered, and unsettled. This profound story speaks directly to something that many of us human beings struggling with, and that's letting go. So today, I'm going to take us on a journey, and we'll use this story as kind of a touchstone about how letting go of attachments opens us to grace and gratitude. We'll revisit this story as we discuss and understand attachment and the power of letting go and the transformation that happens for us when we experience the fulfillment of grace. When we hold tightly onto our thoughts and our beliefs, we cannot enjoy the grace that's in this moment. For grace arrives when we accept life as it is. If we have expectations or doubts or concerns or demands, we can't be in the presence of grace. Grace is only present right now, in this moment, in every moment that is right now. Imagine that scholar with his overflowing cup. He was so eager to learn, but his mind was already crammed full. So full that he could not accept anything new. And this is how attachment works for us, right? We fill our minds with expectations, with desires, with rigid ideas about how things should be. Anybody? Or is it just me? You know, it could be that I'm doing this all just for me. Right? When we feel resentment or disappointment or pain or resistance when things don't go our way, we chase grace away. In Buddhism, one of the attachments, one of the core issues, causes of suffering, right? When we cling to our expectations of how things should be, we miss the beauty that's in the moment. Kind of like the overflowing teacup. And we must learn to empty ourselves and let go, to make room for the grace that wants to be here for us, for me, for you in this moment. From a Buddhist perspective, grace is the natural flow of compassion, the natural flow of wisdom, the natural flow of interconnectedness when we let go of the attachments of the ego. You know, many people have thought that grace is something that is given to us by the Creator, right? Oh, if I please God, God will give me grace. You know, I don't think that that's true. When we release our attachments, we connect ourselves with the grace that's already there. Nobody is giving it to us. Nobody decides, oh, should I give them grace today or not? Right? It's always available. No one is deciding, should I give it to you or not? Should I give you life or death or freedom? Grace is always there. Grace manifests when we stay non-attached. Grace manifests when we are mindful and in the moment. Grace manifests when we are expressing and experiencing compassion. So think of a time, maybe it'll probably be hard, right? To think of a time when you were deeply attached to an outcome. Anybody ever had one of those times? And maybe something that didn't work out for you. A relationship, a job, an expectation. And just picture that for a moment. And imagine how'd that feel? Being in that, having that expectation. Probably a little tense, right? Probably felt some anxiety, some anxiousness. And the idea is to recognize when we have these attachments, when we feel this anxiety, and to let go. Take a breath and bring ourselves to this moment, to be like the empty teacup, right? The empty teacup is about making space, seeing ourselves as an empty vessel to experience the fullness of this moment. When we let go, we make room for something new to arrive. Another story that I like that resonates with this idea is the monkey trap, right? You know how they catch monkeys, right? They take a coconut, they hollow it out, or a gourd, and they hollow it out, and they tie a string to it, right? And they stick a piece of fruit inside. The monkey comes along and he looks at it and he sees that fruit in there and he grabs the fruit. But the hole is so narrow that he can't get his hand out of the gourd, right? And so he becomes stuck. And this is how monkeys have been trapped, right? The monkey just is holding on for dear life or whatever, holding on to that fruit. And we are often the same way, right? We want to hang on to whatever it is we're holding on to, thinking that we're going to get that reward. We hold on to our hurts. We hold on to our expectations. I talked to somebody this week who was sharing with me that he had great disappointment because he had this idea. He wanted to teach this class in a local classroom, and they wouldn't let him, right? And he's like, I want to teach that class. I have all this to offer. I'm just the right person. They just don't know it. And he's hanging on to this fruit. And he told me yesterday, he said, I'm never going back to that school again. I'm never going to try and teach a class there again. And it's like, wow, really? Is it worth that? Is it worth cutting off our own creativity? Is it worth sacrificing what we have to give? There's my mentor up here somewhere. So, if only we can let go, we can be free. When we let go, we are free. Sometimes we think that if I hold on and keep trying to make the universe accept what I have to give, eventually it will give it to me. Yeah, but what if the universe is saying, that's a great idea, but not right now? So how do we surrender and be grateful? How do we surrender to grace and be grateful? And I think one of the most powerful ways that we can do that is by practicing mindfulness. Right? Remember, grace only comes when? In the present moment. So we want to be mindful in every moment and be aware of what's in this moment for us. As this breeze flows through here, can you feel the breeze, right? Can you hear my words and pay attention to them without thinking of being somewhere else? Can you be mindful enough to be right here, right now, in this moment? Because in this moment is where grace is. If we're walking on the beach, God forbid, and we're thinking about the election or how things are going to be in the future, can we experience the grace of the beach? Probably not, because we're not present in that moment and allowing ourselves to be totally present to it. We can't experience the grace and the beauty of life if we're holding on to something else, if we're facing resistance or we're grasping for something that's not present. Another way that we can surrender to grace and being grateful is with meditation. It's like we're all given this amazing gift to connect with the essence of who we are, to connect with the wisdom of the universe, to connect with our higher self. And the best way to do that I know of is to spend time in meditation and just be present, train ourselves. Meditation is kind of like, it's training, right? It's psychological, it's spiritual training ourselves to be present, in a sense, I like to think of it as answering the phone, right? The phone is ringing, and meditation is calling, well, will we pick up the phone, or will we say, I'll get you later. I got to get through this challenging thing first, right? Whereas meditation offers us the gift of transformation and inspiration to help us cope with the challenges that we have. And the third thing we can do to surrender to grace and be grateful is with self-reflection. And this is really about asking ourselves some questions. For example, you might say, what am I afraid will happen if I let go of this? What happens if I let go of my desire to have this thing that I want? Right? Doesn't seem like it's working out. What's going to happen if I let go of it? Our ego can tell you all kinds of stories, won't it? Or let's go back here. So what need or desire am I trying to fill by holding on to this outcome? So if I'm hanging on to something, why am I doing that? Why am I hanging on to this instead of letting go of it? What is the desire? What is the need that I'm trying to get by hanging on? Sometimes we think it's going to create happiness for us, or validation, or security. And maybe it will, but the whole idea to be present in the moment, to accept grace and be grateful, is to ask ourselves these questions. And I'm sure as followers of truth that you do ask yourself questions. Another question is this attachment causing me suffering or limiting my ability to be present? Is this attachment limiting me? Is it keeping me from being able to be present in this moment because I'm so concerned with getting something outside of myself? And the next one is, what would it feel like to release my grip on this outcome? I think we can head in a direction of something, but not be so attached to the outcome that we hang on to it. I was going to say for dear life, but I think sometimes we hang on to it for dear death, right? And then the last one is, what is within my control in this situation and what is not? When I was going over this talk this morning, it reminded me of a prayer that my dad had on his desk, being in AA, was the serenity prayer, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So this is kind of that same idea, to be present to what's within my control in this situation and what is not. What can I do? What can I let go of? And what's important to me? So when we surrender, we open a space for grace. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we want to appreciate what is here. And we can only do that when we are present in this moment. So I want to just return to a moment for the idea of grace. Grace finds us when? In the present moment. I have a friend who recently suffered a huge loss. Her partner of many years died. And she shared with me recently what she was feeling and the overwhelming pain of it, and some anger and some disappointment that she went through. And and we know that all these are the stages of grief. And as she went through this kind of naturally evolving process, she got to this place where she said, I can finally love myself, love my partner so much that what I focus on now is the love that we shared and how grateful I am for what that relationship brought to me. How grateful I am for all that I learned from this relationship. And isn't that what healing is about? Coming into this moment and celebrating what is here right now. So I would like to lead you in a short meditation. I invite you to close your eyes. And let's just practice letting go. And bring your attention and your awareness to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Know that this is a safe place that we have created here this morning. It's a safe place for transformation. To know that love is here. Truth is here. Light is here. Joy is here. Peace is here. And take just a moment to reflect on what is something that you can let go of. Is there something in your life, or maybe you felt like the monkey with the hand in the gourd, grasping the fruit? And perhaps, maybe you can let go of whatever that is. Something that's not serving you. Something that's taking your power away. Something that's keeping you from being focused, present. Something that's keeping you from feeling the grace of this moment. And take a deep breath, breathing in. Just imagine that you're letting go. Setting whatever it is down, leaving it in the gourd, letting go. And taking your hand out and feeling the freedom. Breathe into that. Breathing. Being an empty cup. Feeling the grace that this freedom brings to you. Breathing in and breathing out. And perhaps you can feel the sense of gratitude moving in and through every cell, every space, acknowledging this newfound freedom. Breathing in and breathing out. I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to this moment. So I have a homework assignment for you, or call to action this week, and that is maybe to go through the meditation I just did or something similar, and look at what can you let go of that's keeping you trapped? A thought, a feeling, an expectation, a desire that's keeping you from being in this place of grace, keeping you from being in a place of gratitude. And I invite you just to do that and to watch yourself in the process, to watch and pay attention to your feelings. Pay attention to the transformation that you're opening yourself up to experience. And as you release whatever it is, breathe into the newness. Notice that grace shows up. And be grateful. So to end today, why don't we go to Act 2 of The Wise King and His Teacup. Once more to the grand court the scholar returned, for wisdom and grace were what he still yearned. The king with his crown sat calm on his throne, and the scholar approached a little more grown. Dear king, quoth the scholar, bowing his head low, I've emptied my cup. I've let some things go. But still there's a gap, a longing, a hole. How do I find grace to truly feel whole? The wise king nodded, his eyes filled with light. He rose from his throne with a smile warm and bright. To the garden, dear scholar, come now, come through. For grace, my dear friend, is in everything you do. They walked through the roses, the lilies, the trees, the scent of flowers afloat on the breeze. The king took a rose, its petals soft and red. See this bloom, dear scholar, it never did dread. The rose grows and blossoms, then sheds in due time. It clings not to beauty, nor fears life's decline. It opens its petals, surrendering in trust to life, to the seasons, to the wind's gentle gust. Grace is not found by holding on tight, but by letting things be in day and in night, by embracing what is without trying to mold, and finding the beauty in the petals that unfold. Ah, the scholar smiled, eyes misty and clear, for he knew in that moment what grace meant, sincere. He knelt to the earth, his heart feeling light. Thank thee, dear king, for gifting me sight. The king laughed aloud, his joy warm and deep. Dear scholar, the secret is yours to keep. Let go of thy clamor, thy worries, thy pride, and know that grace grows when you open wide. So they stood in the garden with roses in bloom, and the scholar felt gratitude dispelling his gloom. The wise king had shown him that grace was the key to let go, to trust, and to simply be. When we don't have expectations, attachments, our cup can be filled with beauty and grace. And from that, gratitude flows. I release my expectations and attachments and open myself to the grace of the present moment. Say that with me. I release my expectations and attachments and open myself to the grace of the present moment. Namaste. All right. So I invite you to stand. Thank you all again for being here today. Well, let's take a deep breath. We'll pray the prayer for protection together, and then we'll join hands and sing in a large circle the peace song. So for ourselves, for this ministry, for all life, let's affirm together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you for being here. God bless you. God bless you, friends on Facebook.
Where I live, there are rain.